will go ahead and introduce the cards to you. So here's our line leader. I don't think there's any explanation necessary for this. It's the person that stands in the front of the line. We have something marking my line, and so the kids know that they leave that first space open for the person who is the line leader, and also that second space open for the person that is the door holder. So these two people are my first two on the list, and they're also the first two to go into our actual line. I'm gonna make all the jobs sound cool and exciting. I do not like that line leader gets all the hype and all the other jobs are like, eh. I make all the jobs sound really awesome and cool and very, very necessary for our class to succeed. Door holder, their job is when we get up to the door that we have to leave. So every time we come to a door, including the door that we're going out of for the classroom, that person's job is to put their back, I teach them how to put their back on the door, because when they're holding it, pushing it like this, they're blocking all of the traffic. So I teach the kids early on, put your back on the door so that everybody can pass through and not trip on your feet. I show them several times and give examples in the beginning of the year. Once that last person is out, then their job is to come and get back in the front of the line. At the beginning of the year, they may try to like run and rush to get up there, and I just have to remind them, you don't have to run. This is your spot. The door holder always goes behind the line leader. You're fine. You can walk, and eventually they start to get that. But I do need them to come back to the front of the line, because in my school, we had multiple doors that we had to go through. And so I needed them. That was a job that really was important, because I needed them to hold that door so I could walk with the rest of the class, because I am not letting my pre-Kers go walking while I'm holding the door, because mad chaos is going to come out of it. Next job is the pledge person. This person's job in the morning to do a school-wide pledge. And so it would come over the intercom or come over the television. All of the kids would stand up. This person's job was to go stand underneath the flag that we were pledging to in that moment. So if we were underneath the United States flag, then they would stand under there and they would model putting their hand on their heart, and they would lead by saying the pledge, and we would all follow. Living in Texas, you know, we're proud of our state. We would also say a Texas pledge. So then they would walk over and stand underneath the Texas flag, and then they would put their hand on their heart, and they would lead us in the Texas pledge as well. The next job is the calendar job. Ooh, Violet drew a picture. When we come do our calendar for the morning, I don't spend a whole lot of time on my calendar. I usually use Starfall, because I have like a smart board behind me, and we would pull up Starfall. My kids would get whatever our pointer was for the month we were using for our pointer of that month. They would use that, and they would help lead us in the calendar. But even if you're using like your wall calendar, I let them have the pointer, and so they're up here when we're singing our months of the year song. They're up here when we're singing Sunday, and there's Monday, there's Tuesday, and there's Wednesday. And we're counting movement bucket for whatever number it is. So say we get to, I'm having this ready for September already, but say it is September 3rd. The calendar helper will draw our stick. Okay, so this says shoot the basketball, and then we all stand up. The calendar person's actually going to touch count, because I'm watching them and I'm seeing if they can do their 1-to-1, and they're going to do 1, 2, 3, while the rest of the class is going to be 1, 2, 3. We're going to do whatever the movement tells us to do for the date of the week. I do a little bit different stuff each day in the calendar. I don't do all of it all the time, and therefore the person, since it's their job all week long, they're getting to do these different things. It's not the exact same thing each day. Next is my ABC letter of the week. The way that I have typically done this is I have my word wall, my letter wall, whatever you want to call it, lined out, and when it comes time for us to do our letter of the week, then that person gets the pointer and they get to say the ABCs all the way down until we get to the letter that we are learning for that week. I'm going to be introducing something new to you guys. It did not come in the mail yet, so I haven't been able to make the videos yet of the All About Me letter of the week. And so if you're doing that, I would have your ABC person, your letter of the week helper, to help do whatever, come up and be the person that helps guide that for the week. Next, the lights, or I've seen some people call this the electrician. Their job is when you're going in and out of the class, they turn the lights off, they turn the lights on. Has a job all throughout the day too, though, because when we would use our smart board, we would turn the lights off. You can have different things to help make sure that the kids can reach it. There's different inventions out there. Kind of like how they have inventions, something kind of like this, and that they're able to put it on the light switch and go up and down if the lights are higher than what your kid can actually reach. Kids love to turn the lights on and off, so this job is very vital that it's one person's job to go turn the lights on and off for that week. Person, I try to teach my class to push in their own chairs, but we are dealing with toddlers and preschoolers. They don't always do it, and instead of coming down to the carpet and then being like, oh my gosh, you forgot your chair, you forgot your chair, you forgot your chair, we might mention, uh-oh, some of our friends forgot to push in their chair. I need my chair helper to go push in their chairs. Hey, not like that. You may want them to get up and go push in their own chair. I have to come up with 24 jobs, and this is something that was always a problem, so I made it into a job, and it solved my problem for me. Does it solve their problem for the rest of the world of not learning to push in their chair? I don't know, because my own adult kids forget to push in their chair. All right, this one is a very special job depending on your school and how you do things. We were allowed to say a blessing or a prayer before we ate. So before we would have our meals or have our snack, that person would start the prayer and then the rest of us would join in. All right, center tags. This is because of the way that I do centers in my class, the management system that I have, where we're hanging our pictures on each of the centers. Most of the time, I try when it's time to clean up, I'll have my co-teacher or myself, I'll go and I'll grab those pictures, or I train the kids eventually to take their pictures and bring them back and put them in the bucket so we can see what center they're going to go to next or have them ready for the next day. But every once in a while, some kids forget their tags, or at the end of the day, I'll have the center helper go and gather up. Or some days it just gets crazy, we leave them there the day before, and so my center tag person will go and grab them all off for me before we do centers. The supplies person, anytime we are passing out supplies, and the kids would kind of like fight over who was going to get to help do that, that's where this job is birthed. So if you're teaching by yourself, this is where this person becomes your right-hand man. I mean, really, all of these jobs make it so much easier if you're in a classroom by yourself. But this one, if I'm down at the carpet and I'm preparing and telling the kids what we're fixing to do, then I will have this kid go and put out whatever the paper is or the supplies that we need. If we need crayons or specific things for that craft or that activity, or if we're putting blocks or whatever it is, this person knows where it is, and I will instruct them, hey, can you get the such and such and go put it on the table, because we're crash helper. This one has there's two different ways that I do this job. When we finish an activity at the table and it gets a little bit messy, this person, after we clean up after ourselves, there's usually some struggling trash behind that nobody claims. This person will go and help pick up that stuff, or this is the person that's allowed to go under the tables to get the stuff that's under there, because I don't like the chaos of all the kids trying to go underneath the table to pick up their stuff. So that's this person's job. And then also at snack time, I've always had like a small trash can in my classroom along with my bigger one, and they actually carry it from place to place. I prefer one person going around with the trash and people putting their trash in the trash can versus everybody getting up and walking to the trash. We had carpet down, and it was always such a mess when the kids would get up and walk across the room and they would drop half their goldfish and stuff in the carpet or spill their drink on the way. So this one is the backpack helper. This person, again, very important job. They only do it once a day at the end of the day, but this person is a lifesaver for me. This person, depending on the kind of things you have in your class, they may have a beginning of the day job and an end of the day job. At the beginning of the day, what I would do is, like, if we had folders and stuff, that kid would go and check and make sure everybody got their folder out. Or if we had library books, they would go check and make sure everybody got their library book out, or just like your co-teacher would. The main job this person had, though, was to get the kids' backpacks and bring them to their seat at the end of the day. And so this person memorized. These kids are so smart, y'all. They would memorize everybody's backpack, and they could grab it off the hook and go sit it in their seat. And the reason they could do that is because I have their backpack labeled with their picture, and I have their table chair labeled with their picture. So at the very beginning, they're making that connection until they start to memorize that Max over here has the Minion backpack. Elizabeth has the Princess backpack, and they do the job for me. These class jobs are not just to benefit the kids and teach them stuff. This is actually helping me in the classroom. So the last person is the caboose. This was another thing that people would fight over, being the very last person. They can't be first, they want to be last. This person's job is to view the room and make sure everybody is out. Sometimes this person's job is to check the bathroom, just to make sure. We only had one bathroom in our class, to go check the bathroom and make sure we didn't leave anybody behind. To be honest, I walked out at the end of the day and left a kid in the bathroom. So I shouldn't admit these things to you. We had like a little cart that we would keep all of our lunches in, the sanitizer and stuff. We would keep them all in a little cart, and that person's job was to pull the cart to the lunchroom. I know not all of you guys go eat in a cafeteria, but if you do, this can be your caboose's job as well. So this job is also very, very important. Then I created subs. One, it's a real life situation where Punchy here is not here to be the line leader. It becomes chaos because now there's no line leader. This person wants to be the line leader, or what have you. Or the lights person is not there, and now they're having to fight over who am I going to pick to be the lights person. So what I did is I created 3 sub slots. Large class. Again, I had 24 kids in my class sometimes. So coming up with 24 jobs was a lot. So I would have 21 jobs, and I would have 3 subs. So the way that it would work is here's sub 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, well, Bentley is not here today. We need a sub to do his job. So then sub number 1 would go right here. Here, Buck is going to fill in for him. Elizabeth isn't here today either. Sub number 2, and he's going to go right here, and he's covering for Elizabeth today. I think you see how all of that works.